I will actually do something before I start reading from these books. I have my laptop with me, trustworthy, and there's something that I actually want to read which will explain each book. And as I keep showing you, so volume 1, Mortala, unrelenting or deadly, involving loss of divine grace or spiritual death. That's what Mortala means. This quote by Norman Cousins touches the core of the trilogy. The greatest loss in life isn't death. The greatest loss in life is what dies inside us when we're still alive. The titles and themes of all three books embody the concept of Mortala, not just as a word, but something that happened, something you can feel. I wrote the first few poems in 2019 and touched up one in 2020. The main writing of all three books took place between the spring of 2021 and early 2022. Sorry, I have to take a sip of water. You know how many people I've asked to take a British accent and they never thought it was racist at all? White people, man, gotta love them. They're funny people. So, Hiraeth. Hiraeth means, it's a Welsh word, by the way. Hiraeth and Cynefin are Welsh words. A longing or nostalgia for a home, one that you cannot return to or one that never existed. I don't think of it as an either or situation when it comes to a home you can't return to or one that never existed. The tone of Hiraeth is about a home you can't retreat to because it never really existed. It's more about how the idea of home makes us feel rather than the universal cliche of a house is not a home. Because home can become a person too. Since home is a feeling, getting home can sometimes be a journey. Hiraeth reads like an epic, a story of a journey to a mythical place or feeling. The tone of the poems reflects how it may never have really existed, and yet that still doesn't stop one from longing for it or reminiscing. The book is a yearning for what home could be, but how you can live without it. Hiraeth is written from the perspective of being wounded and scarred but still not giving up. It reads like a series of battles ultimately building up to a war. No matter how close death seems or how conveniently it may be as an exit strategy, you stay alive for yourself. Then we have our dearly beloved. Sorry, I'll just start racking them up like this. Cynefin. A place where an animal or human feels it ought to live and belong. It's where nature around you feels right and welcoming. This second book of the trilogy holds the other two together like a bridge that helps prepare the reader for Anamoya. Hiraeth and Cynefin have nearly parallel sequences, which is why you see common themes even though the books read quite differently. Cynefin has multiple themes because a person can feel like they belong in many places or with many people. Each person or place makes you feel uniquely at home. The themes of Cynefin comes from it being written in different locations, in a few different phases and states of mind. The beauty of Cynefin is that it was written in the monsoon with the mist and rain of the Himalayan mountains, between thunderstorms and months of fog. There were unexpected moments when the fog lifted and clouds vanished, opening up views of the valley and majestic snow peaks that inspired odes, no matter how cryptic. Cynefin is written from the perspective of the reaper and the ferryman in mythology. The reaper holds a lamp guiding people through the darkness, while the poems with the voyage theme are like the ferryman journey. The lamp is seen in the mild silver lining throughout the book. Its light may seem dim, but it does the job. Then we have Anamoya. By the way, this fire in the eyes means that no matter how scarred and wounded you are, there is a lot of love that will still be displayed in and through you. And that's the same love that represents like a fire. It burns with, you're burning with love deep inside yourself, in your heart, in your body, your mind, soul, and spirit. And that's what makes you have a crown of fire, is your love. That's what this fire signifies. Never forget that. So, nostalgia for a time you've never known. That's what Anamoya is. And I've heard a lot of people in my generation feel like that. They have nostalgia for a time they've never known. I grew up kind of different. I grew up more like 2, 3 generations ago than I did, even 4 generations ago than I did like my generation. But I still feel it nonetheless because I feel like I don't associate well to this generation. And a lot of people my age feel the same way too. So, anemoia, nostalgia for a time you've never known. Sometimes you can remember the memories you could have had. The purpose of anemoia is to explain Hirayat and Kunavan like an answer key, or the very foundational and fundamental roots of the trilogy. Some of us carry a longing for a time we missed out on, a time or a generation we always felt like we belonged to. This was the unexpected postscript. I thought Kunavan would be the last stop, but Anemoia seemed to write itself as a fitting conclusion. In Anamoya, there is no more arguing about what happened or questioning why, just acceptance of the way things are. There are glimpses of Hirayat and Kunavin in the tone and themes, which is why the cadence may feel familiar. Imagine if you got wounded. Now imagine instead of flesh and blood, you saw what you really were inside. The best part of the best part is that those wounds don't heal the way they normally would. You are left with scars that are left exposing your inner truth and being. Anemoia is about being what lays is about the being that lays beneath our skin, past the surface and beyond whatever lies at face value. Think of anemoia as a scale of pain from 1 to 10 and expanding that through a far larger scale by emphasizing on one topic like betrayal, trust, love, death, grief, loss, etc. I also want to break the stereotypes of the poems these days that just say their heart broke. And I don't like the insta poetry bullshit. I can't tolerate too much of it. People say their life feels like we're living in hell, but they can't explain it any further. I took that to a place where I could actually express it in a creative way. I can't do normal one sentence quotes and call it poetry. You will feel a lot of pride while reading the poetry in most books. This is why you have to compete in hell. You have to be the bigger player. I also listen to a lot of rap while listening, and that tone follows through into the poetry. At least for the first trilogy, I did. Not really translated through the other books.